Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I just filmed this tutorial on how to paint hydrangeas in watercolor, and just as I was ready to say goodbye, my camera shut off because I'd hit 20 minutes. And so I'm going to watch that back and see if it's not too awkward, and I'll post it if it looks okay, I guess, or if anybody really wants to see it. But then I thought, you know what, I bet that this technique would go better with watercolor pencil. This was a request to paint a hydrangea. I was a little stumped as to what I wanted to work on today, so I looked through my old request list, and about 2 months ago somebody asked for a hydrangea, so I decided that I could do that. We're going to sketch with watercolor pencils, and we're going to do, I think I'm just going to end up with like maybe 2 hydrangeas in a mason jar. I'm not going to try to pack so many in. So what I'm doing here is just sketching. I'm doing the bottom of a mason jar, and I'm just going to pull up 2 lines on either side. Nothing fancy. Just try to keep it as symmetrical as you can. I know it's difficult. I have a hard time when I'm working upside down. I have a hard time when I'm working right side up. Who am I kidding? And then I'm just going to throw in a little bit of detail. You could even, you know, put words on there if you want. I certainly can't do that upside down. Let me just see. There we go. Look at that. Fancy. I wrote the word ball on there. Oh boy, will wonders ever cease. Okay, now I'm just going to put a couple kind of pom-pommy shapes here very lightly. I'm actually doing this a little darker than I would normally because I want you to be able to see it, because if you can't see it, it's not much of a video. I think I'm just going to do 2, and I'm going to do one pink and one blue. And it's kind of funny because hydrangeas, the blue hydrangeas can be pink and the pink ones can be blue. White ones will always be white, but it has something to do with the not only the acid in the soil, but also the aluminum in the soil. I'm going to put a couple leaves. They kind of have these heart-shaped pointy leaves, very similar to what lilacs have. And actually, drawing hydrangeas is very similar to lilacs because they are a multi-headed flower. Like you get one big pom-pom and you get all these little buds on it. So very, very similar technique there. I'm going to need to sharpen this, and I think I don't have my sharpener right here, so I might have to pause that in a minute. And that was grass green. That first color I used was jade green, and the blue I used for the little pom-pom was smalt blue. Now I'm going to go and kind of draw a few of the flowers here. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. That'd probably be a little more helpful if I zoomed in a little bit for you. Because the key here, when you're working with a multi-head flower like that, is not to put in every single petal. You just want to kind of hint at it. You know, the brain knows, you know, if it sees one petal and then it sees all these kind of squiggly lines, it's going to know that there are other petals there and they're all their own little flower. But you don't want to draw everyone in, because that's how pictures get flat looking. And it can be very hard if you're a perfectionist not to want to put every little detail in there, but trust me, it'll look better if you don't. And, you know, just kind of fill it in with your little lines. We're just going to do a simple wash over this anyway. We're not even going to get too crazy. This is number 30 if you're using the regular watercolor pencils by Derwent. And I will also let you know that I'm just going to go over it with this light blue number 33. They look different now. They've changed the color of the barrels. I think they're now dark blue, but they do have that kind of like non-roll hexagonal surface. Alright, now I'm going to use a wet brush just to wash over that. Okay, just kind of just pay attention to the edges that you drew. You're just kind of dragging that color around. This is going to be a super simple project. Okay, we're not gonna spend 20 minutes on this. I'll tell you that right now. Well, that's what I say. We'll see. I tend to take longer than I plan most of the time. Then, if you want a little bit more color, just use your brush on the pencil to pick up color, just as if you were using like from a pan of watercolors, and go ahead and just add a little bit in there. Your first lines are still there, so you know you're just kind of enhancing here. Okay, less is more. I really believe with this. I think this one's going to turn out better than my first one that may or may not be uploaded. It's funny, I don't think I'd ever, I do love to paint lilacs because my mother grows lilacs, and every May when they're in season, I grab a bunch and I take them home and I paint them in either watercolors or oils or sometimes both, and I just love the smell of it. Makes my husband sneeze though. I think he's developed a tolerance to lilacs since we got married. We're gonna do the exact same thing using number 21, Rose Madder Lake, which is, I'll show you on my chart, because sometimes it's hard when you look at the pencil. That's what it looks like. That's why I swatch out my colors, because looking at the barrel, it's quite deceiving. This is much lighter than you would think it would be, and it's the same thing. We're going to draw a couple of the flowers in detail. Well, not even that much detail, just kind of like that. Spent all morning cleaning. Didn't get down to my studio till after 1. Then you get kind of that feeling like, oh, well, I only have a little bit of time. What am I going to do? And I was all flustered, so I just looked at my request file and saw that I had not painted hydrangeas yet for somebody who's been waiting patiently. I should write down the names of who requests it too. I usually just write down the topic that's requested. And I think I actually want a little bit of yellow in there, so I'm actually going to go over this with a little bit of yellow to warm it up. And I'll probably need to add a little bit of more pink in after I liquefy this. So let's liquefy this and see what we get. It's going to be a lovely peachy pink. This would make a pretty Mother's Day card, or Valentine's. We have Valentine's coming up next week. Easter even. Anything soft, anything you want a nice soft spring is what it looks like to me. Hydrangeas that can bloom for quite a long time too. We had some growing out front, but they never really did that well. I thought they'd do really well because we have really acidic soil because we have pine trees, but I think it has more to do with the aluminum in the soil than it does the acidity. And again, I'm going to pick up my color from the tip here of my pencil. This is one of my favorite techniques. I'll get a little crazy with that. That's not a big deal though. I'm just going to enhance and drop in some color. I think I had a little bit too much water there, but I'm not going to let that ruin my day. You're painting. Better than digging ditches. Nothing to complain about here. Just kind of outline some of the petals so the color can kind of wick in. I'm using a paper that's not that great for blending. It's actually, well, not great for lifting, I should say. It's Fabriano Soft Press. I don't even know if they make this paper anymore, but I have quite a stash from when I used to teach, so I've been using that up. Paper doesn't go bad as long as you don't let it get mildewed or anything. It's fine. Alright, now I'm actually going to pause the video so I can go grab my pencil sharpener. Be back in a second. I thought I was being wicked smart by putting my pencil sharpener in my Prismacolor box, but then I needed it for this, my favorite one. I'm just going to color in these leaves here. Actually, I can zoom out a little bit now, I think. Ooh, there we go. I'm just going to color these in quickly. Something tells me I'm going to be 20 minutes on this video. Oh well, you know, you just get kind of relaxed when you're painting. Something I like to do in the summer when the weather's warm is just take my paints right outside and kind of sit down on the ground next to my flowers or whatever I happen to have growing. I'm going to put a few stems in here. You know what? I want to put my water line in, and I think I'll do that with this blue because it's going to be reflecting the color. And sometimes I like to actually turn my paper while I'm working. I want to put a water line in there, and I just want to turn it so make sure, and I'll look at it from other angles to make sure I have it fairly correct. And if not, then I'll show you how to fudge it, so it doesn't really matter. And I want to put my stem in here, and then when it gets down below the water line, it actually kind of distorts and gets a little bit bigger, so I'm kind of putting that in. And I want this guy to have a stem too. We'll put a little bit of brown in here. I want it too green, just kind of darken it up a little bit. And maybe a little bit of that on the leaves as well. This is a very soft palette I'm using. We're not going to have a lot of contrast. And I'm also going to want some of that color that I used to, this right here, that I used to sketch the jar. I'm going to want some of that out here too, because that's going to be reflected. All right, now I want to do a wash. Let me go back to my, I'm pretty much going to use this number 6 round throughout. And I am going to, I think I'll actually do the stems here first. Then I'll wash the glass color over everything. Fill that in. While I'm at it, I'm going to do my leaves. I'm working pretty quickly because if I want to add a shadow, I want to, I'll add it in there while it's still wet, so I'm just going to kind of zip along and get all these painted. Another reason I have to work kind of quickly is that my kids will be getting off the bus pretty soon with friends, so we know painting downstairs, there'll be, you know, snack duty and keeping an eye on the Rugrats. Alright, to intensify that, I'm going to grab a little bit more of that green. Might actually even grab another green pencil. I think I might have to. Let's see what we can do with this and some of the blue. I don't like to introduce too many new colors. I like to try to work with what I have so that I create harmony and unity throughout the picture. Also repetition. Those are some of the elements of and principles of design that that you want to think about while you're working, because it just kind of makes everything feel a little bit more thought out. It makes things feel a little bit more well composed and just a little bit more I guess pleasant to look at. I think I want to put some more green right in there though, right in here. Alright, and I'm going to blot where that has gone into my flower. We'll see if we can get dark enough for this. If not, I can always grab a different color, but I think I'd rather just stick with what I have. Try to make a decision at the beginning of a picture, the colors that I'm going to use, and I try not to deviate from it. It's just a personal preference. Just because you have a whole box of color doesn't mean you want to use it every time. Color. Oh my gosh. My accent's showing. It's a very faint wash on the table in front of the mason jar. Very soft light. Liquefy your mason jar color and drag it in. You could spend hours painting a jar, getting the glass looking exactly the way you want it, and you absolutely should if that's what you want to do, but for this video it's just going to be a quick little sketch. If I feel like I have a little too much water, I just kind of pinch it with my fingers. That takes out any little extra drips so that I can control my water a little bit better. And I think this is the color I used for the top of the water line, so I just want to throw a little of that across. And then I want repetition. I'm going to repeat it down here. I find the original watercolor pencils, not the Inktense, a little bit easier to control. It might be a better situation or solution for a beginner, but you know, everybody's different. Choose what you like. If you already have watercolor pencils, use those before you, you know, see if those will get you the look that you want. I want to put a little bit of that color down here too. I like to repeat my color. I want a little bit of yellow in the water as well, kind of indicate that there is some sun. I don't have very much room there to grab that. Oh yeah, I'm getting plenty. Put that right in there. I love how glass, like a glass with water, and it can capture so many colors. And you usually do, if you really look, you'll see all those colors within a glass, within a vase. And let's see, I had pulled this color out. I haven't used it yet. It was burnt carmine, so I was thinking I would put some more intense colors in the pink flower, but I don't know. I think that I will kind of leave that just the way it is. I'm going to go, whoops, I just drip some water on there. I'm going to go in with my green and add some veins on my little leaves here. And add a little bit with some brown too. Remember, I'm keeping this very soft looking. Very light colors. Now I think that hydrangeas have a little yellow speck just in the center of each of the flowers. So I'm just going in and I'm just giving a little twist with my pencil just to give those little centers. I'm pretty sure, maybe they don't, I'm sure somebody knows better than I do, but I think they have like a little teeny tiny little dot of yellow in the middle. And if not, well, artistic license, right? That's what I say. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at this right side up. And it's something I like to do that not everyone does, and if you don't like to, then you don't have to. I also feel like I need a little bit more grounding shadow here on the bottom, so I'm actually going to mix a little bit of my blue and a little bit of my brown here, just like I would if I was painting on a palette, and I'm going to make a little bit of a, ooh, that's quite a bit of one, just a little bit of a shadow here. And I will bring it elsewhere in the design, so I'm not just having that on its own somewhere. I'll drag it out. Drag it up a little bit. It's just one of those things that comes with practice. You just can feel that, you know, something just isn't right in the value of a piece. You just know you need a little bit of contrast somewhere. And if it's too harsh, the great thing about these watercolor pencils is that you can go in and soften them with water. The ink tints will tend to stain a little bit more. And the regular watercolor ones don't, so just something to think about when you're choosing pencils to use on a project. I want a little bit more blue over here, I think. And I think I'm gonna call that done. Oh yes, you gotta sign your name, For something like this, I would just, actually, you know what, you can even just write it on with your pencil. I think I'll just put my initials on this because I'll probably put it on a card. Alright, and there you have it. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any others. I want to thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.